Monday. Deserve some coffee. It's a yummy cold brew. It's so good. I think this is kind of fitting with the theme today. Coffee and some weather. All right, let's see how we can swing this. I don't know. Might want a chair. How are you guys? It's Monday. Early video this morning. And then a couple hours later, there's another 7-point-something South Sandwich Islands. This is just a lot to get into. But today's theme, I want to stick with cooking and food. And we mentioned a couple times in the last few videos of, hey guys, of the importance of being ready when it comes to all of the supply chain shortages that are happening. And what I've done recently, again, it's been a while, but I've gotten back into it, was looking at getting creative with cookbooks, cakes, one-dish suppers, soups, breads. And I'm looking for old-style cookbooks. Stuff that's been around for a while, tried and true. And I find this old Bon Appetit little cookbooks. And when is the subsequent quake? Not an aftershock duration magnitude. It's time and length of activity between the earthquakes from the big one, or I think when there's a bigger one. But all the more reason to stay on top of the news and be ready. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about is the Wartime Kitchen and Garden series. There's a series that the BBC put out years ago, and I watched all 8 of them. I watched them again today, and I found the cookbook that went along with it, which is right here, and it's this big. This one I bought used, and trying to find, this one was actually signed in the book. Someone got this and was signed back in '93. And the cool thing about this book is it goes along with all the recipes and the information that was shared inside of a series of all 8 videos, from growing the food, canning the food, storing the food, and rationing. And what's interesting is the very last video of the series, he talked about rationing to the point where they're rationing gas and fuel to cook the food. And so much so that they're trying to put everything into one container and cooking things at different times. So I got this book to go along with the series. So it's not just historical information, but recipes to go along with it as well. And another book that I took, oh my gosh, it took 20 days to ship, was Food Facts for the Kitchen Front. And this also came from Great Britain. During the wartime, this was made for people in England who were trying to grow their own food, inspire people to really stretch out their food and their ingredients. And it says reproduced from the original 1941 edition. This one, 5 pounds, I forget what the conversion was, but it took 20 days to ship. But what's fun is it gives you all of these recipes from the wartime. Very fascinating to see how they stretch ingredients back then. If it's not used, it's well read. These are definitely well read. Very well taken care of, though. This one, unfortunately, the Wartime Kitchen and Garden book came from a smoker, so I put it in a big baggie with cinnamon and baking soda to try and get rid of the smell. It's gotten better, but it's still kind of lingering. But it's very interesting to see this book get passed down different times. But again, both these books were featured in the series. Recipes I've never seen before. Some we've tried the leek pudding. I didn't like it. Leeks, I guess, are not for me. But the fun thing was actually seeing them stretch out ingredients rationing, like sometimes using only 1 egg a week or 1 egg per person, and food coupons, and being creative with their ingredients, trying to grow their own food and making it last, and cooking in such a way where you're using very little fire or propane to cook these things. But very interesting. So Monday, what did we get done today? Home Depot trip. Trying to get ready for the end of summer into fall projects, kind of button up the house now before everyone else starts thinking about doing the same thing as it gets colder. So while it's still warm and nice out, I figured, hey, let's go to Home Depot and get some things done. And what else came in the mail today? The Tooth Fairy dropped off a coin for our daughter's tooth that she lost last week. So instead of getting $1, she's getting little silver coins. Cut the grass. And garden's doing great, corn's doing great, potatoes are doing great, buckwheat is coming in, and we'll be harvesting that soon. Looking forward to that. And I want to say last week and a half ago, we put together a video canning tomatoes. Came out really good. Let me grab you guys one. Tomatoes. Jar of tomatoes. These look so good. Here are our yummy tomatoes. So we got canned. There you go. So week by week, we're trying to get projects done where we're canning, dehydrating, putting stuff away, and work on projects. So take advantage of the good times, especially now with the constant reports of supply chain shortages, disruptions, and I wonder about when I put these videos together if I should put that in there, because I know I sound like a broken record, but I didn't realize how bad the supply chain disruptions are until you start really digging on a local level. And that's between rail, ports being closed down, or limited supply of people to offload these boats and put them onto trucks and rail cars and all this stuff because of everything that's been happening lately. So the best thing we can probably do now is use old cookbooks, write down recipes if you can, get creative, and look for things that people aren't looking for right now. And I would definitely say old school recipe books. And not just look for them, but find them and actually try out the recipes. Practice cooking, practice how long it takes to cook these things. And then finding old recipe cards. I found this in a book. They're blank. And you can actually write down, make shortcuts of recipes that you actually do like. And then learn to grow your own food. Carrots, it's August, but you can still definitely grow carrots. Anything into the ground that'll last into the colder months. Kale, they do great in cold weather. And the thing is, depending on where you live and what it is you're trying to accomplish, practice now. If it works, that's great. If it doesn't, learn what you did wrong and then make those adjustments. Airplane parts. Got to remember everything was rationed back then. Absolutely. If you watch the 8-part series, which I did again today, just to kind of look for anything that I might have missed, they got really creative when it came to cooking things in one vessel. They put the meat in first, whatever took the longest, they would put in first. And then they would put in the things that took the least. I saw the lady take these small potatoes and put them in like this cheesecloth, tied to the lid, but the lid back on so they would get steamed. So very creative ways of cooking and getting things ready. So again, just practicing, knowing what works, what doesn't work, cooking, gardening, canning, dehydrating, and figuring out what works now, what doesn't work, and work on that. Airplane parts. Antique booksellers, estate sales, tag sales, yard sales, absolutely. Those are great finds. Those are great things to look for and just keep an eye out for. People may be moving. Estate sales, tools, old school tools, things that don't require batteries, that are hand-powered, are great to have on hand. And spare parts, absolutely. Airplane parts. Yeah, but the supply chain shortage, prices have definitely gone up for things that we're trying to work on with the plane. So depending on what your projects are, definitely look for parts that you need now. I would say spare nails, screws, wood, duct tape, glue, and then just, again, tools. Just think about things you're going to need in the future, things that you use on a daily basis, things that may break in the future that you may have to replace, and then just have extra parts for that. And just kind of be ready for that, really. Antique books in the mail. Airplane parts in the mail. I don't understand in the mail. Basically, just keep working on projects, especially with the supply chain shortage that's happening right now. Seeds. Remember that big disruption we had last year with the seeds? Baker Creek and other seed companies were running low on supplies or talking about having your orders placed and then wouldn't be able to mail them out within a month. So think about things a couple seasons from now and stock up on that. That's probably the best thing you could think of is think about things you're going to need in the coming seasons and get ahead of it now before everyone else gets on that. Window treatments, staying warm, firewood, get a little bit of extra of that, the pellets. I remember seeing something in an email from one of our pellet suppliers that talked about and mentioned supply chain shortages and thinking about ordering now while you can. You got silver in the mail as well as plane parts. Yes, that we taught our daughter about investing. And instead of getting $1 or whatever it is now, the going rate for teeth, we started off with silver rounds. And the tooth fairy dropped us in the mail today. So that came in and plain parts. But again, buying extra that you can right now and basically getting ready. Cookbooks, cooking supplies, wheat grinders, spare parts for your wheat grinder. So when you have extra stones, get another set. So if something breaks, you have that on hand. Dehydrator, keep that thing running. We did some corn, and now we're going back and forth between corn and peas for protein. Peas are a great source of protein. And think about colors and vitamins. Tomatoes are great in so many meals. These are great for a great source of vitamins and nutrients. Fresh sprouts, you can do that in a matter of 3 to 5 days. It's so good to have something fresh on top of that. So keep your dehydrator running. Keep your cans rotating with fresh stuff that you get either from the garden or the farmer's market. And practice, practice, practice. That's probably the biggest thing right now. Know what works, what doesn't work, what seeds do well in your garden, and what you need practice on. And that's it in a huge nutshell. And stay busy. Between everything that's going on overseas politically and when it comes to the crop disruptions that we've talked about many times down in South America and Europe with the vineyards and orchards and I think UK, there was a story a while back where they mentioned that they didn't really have a spring because of all the cold air that was coming through and just lingering and doing a number on their crops. Do the best you can and keep your eyes and ears open to really good news sources that have that information out there, bookmark it, and just stay on top of it. As long as you stay on top of it, you have a really good idea of how to get ready and what to do. And that's it. A lot of people think this is complicated or really hard or something to accomplish, and it's really not. Everyone can do this if you just make a plan and work at it each week. It's very attainable, very much that you can do on a weekly basis, and that's it. But it's just kind of weird how things have happened so quickly, politically, planetarily with weather and everything. Record colds, I'm seeing that in articles almost on a weekly basis. South America with the coffee plants being damaged or killed off, actually making a dent in the coffee production globally. Sugar, corn, soy, wheat. Same thing over here with the drought out west. A lot of ranches are going to have to cull more cattle than they anticipated this year. So if you can, learn how to make jerky. I've done that in the dehydrator. It's actually really easy. And you can flavor it however you want, and then just rotate, make more, rotate through it. Keep your freezers full, EMPShield to keep things protected in case anything is to happen naturally or man-made. And just stay on top of the news, what's going on. Have different layers of protection when it comes to everything that you're working really hard for, and you're in a great place. And that's the best thing you can do. And honestly, if anything were to happen, you're going to be that much more ahead of what's going on and actually have a more level head when it comes to things that may happen. And that's probably the best thing you can do, is just keep a level head about yourself. And that's the best way to prevent getting hurt or having anything happen. Yeah, cookbooks, supplies, and get them now when they're available. And not a lot of people are thinking about cookbooks, especially old school ones. They have a lot of cool recipes that may not be popular nowadays. There's a lot of cool things in there that we've tried, and I want to try some more. Yeah, get creative. See what you're good at. See what you like. Store foods that you're going to eat. And that's the biggest thing you can do, is eat what you store what you eat, rotate, and then just keep adding towards it, because there are global interruptions when it comes to food, and especially with inflation. I think the latest number I saw today was it was actually closer to 30%. And between the food reserves that we've been using a lot from last year into this year, that's another thing too. So think about the floods, the droughts, and everything that's being impacted this year, and how that's going to affect next year's numbers when it comes to things being canned, things you're going to see in the freezer section. What is this? Hey, P. James, that was a good point. Avoid food fatigue. Seasoning, salt, sugar. Think about preserving food with salt and sugar, jams, things that you can make fresh and then preserve later, things that you can pick off from the tree. You can dehydrate food. You can preserve it with fruit and pectin, or sugar and pectin. Put them in jars, save for later. And then the great thing is rotate. We had crackers that are 2 years old. They taste fine. They taste perfectly fine. A little stale smell, but they're crunchy. They're salty. They taste normal. So we're going to keep testing on a yearly basis until we figure out, hey, this is the breaking point. Can you freeze cheese? Yes, you can. Butter, I would definitely say butter, especially since the prices are going up and the ranchers and the cow situation out west. Beef, freezer bag them, remove all the air, date them, rotate them, and you're in a great place. You're ahead of it. Chicken, pork, steak, beef, what else? Butter is great, has a great source of fat. You can also render it down to make ghee. I think we made a video about that a while ago. We've made ghee, and that'll last you a very, very, very long time. Ghee is great because you actually have the fat from the milk without the milk protein and the lactose. So that's really good to have. Everything tastes good when it sits on a Ritz. Yeah, again, it's about being creative, looking online, and testing these things out. Crackers, I didn't think you could do that, but it worked. We did this in June of 2019, and we popped open last year, tasted fine. Popped open again this year, tasted fine. And we did that 2 or 3 weeks ago. Fine. And it's very doable. So you can dry can your crackers. You can dehydrate frozen food, vegetables, fruits. I would definitely recommend that. Put in some Mylar bags. Cool, dark, dry area. You're in a great place. And then get creative. Find some old recipe books, and even some from different countries. And what I liked about these books in particular, from the Wartime Kitchen and Garden and the Food Facts for the Kitchen Front, these were made, especially at least this one for England or the UK, was during the times of 1939 to 1945, when food rationing was huge, when growing your own food was important and part of surviving. So that one really piqued my interest, because how did they make food stretch and last? How did they grow it, make it last, make gas last, make compost, revitalize the soil? At one part, it got so bad 5 years into the war that they had to take soil and steam it to get rid of any parasites or bugs and kind of revitalize it again with compost. So they got pretty crafty and innovative towards the end, because they were exhausting all their sources. Mentally, they were exhausted. Physically, they were exhausted. They're exhausting the land because everything was just being squeezed so much so quickly that they learned a lot. These are a bunch of lessons in here, and especially in this book, how to use and cook without certain key ingredients, how to cook certain meals without eggs and make things rise. So good. Thank you very much, PJs. You guys are great. P. James, you're great. Rob, you're awesome. I need to go, but I will come back and watch. You got it. But again, just think about the basics, make a list, and get creative. But anything war themed, that was a lot of lessons in here. How people had to work together and grow and be really creative. So that's something I would definitely look into right now. Again, while it's available, more importantly. And then test out these recipes. I tried some. God bless these people, because let me tell you, some of those recipes were rough. The leek pie, that one was rough. That was awfully creative to make a pie out of leeks. And I tried it. I don't like leeks. I discovered I don't like leeks. It's like an oniony. I didn't like it, but that's the thing. Know what you like, know what you don't like, and see if you can get creative with it. But they made do with what they had. And for some of them, that was the best they can do. So again, it's all about working with what you have. But if times are good right now, stock up on it and make your life just this much more easier in the future. Canning supplies, lids. If you have jars, that's fantastic. I would say get extra lids while they're available. Care, Kerr, I believe is the other brand, and Ball. But try to get name brand lids, because I have seen other knockoff lids online. But when you look at the reviews, they bulk, they pop, they lose their seal. They're really thin, poorly made. So try to get name brand stuff. Unless you're really familiar with the brand, stick with name brand stuff. But canning jars and Mylar bags. We just got another shipment today or yesterday, I forget. But Mylar bags, O2 absorbers, keep your dehydrator running. In fact, we just cleaned our we just cleaned these today. These are actually air drying right now. They're a little wet. But I ran some vegetables in here. So that's cleaning and drying. And that's the best thing you can do, is stay at it. Make a to-do list each week. Go to the farmer's market or grow your own food if you can. And now that fall's around the corner, squashes the different types. And then learn how to cook with squash. You got honey nut, butternut, pumpkins, the different styles and types, blue Hubbards. Learn how to cook them. Learn how to put them in soups and meals. And I personally love butternut squash ravioli. You take the the butternut squash, cut it in half, little olive oil, roast in the oven for about 45 minutes, take it out, put it in a bowl, put whatever you want in there. And you can use wonton wraps or dough wraps. You just fold them over, put them in a pan with some butter and sage, and they're phenomenal. That's just one of many, many ways you can utilize squash, especially in the cooler months. They're great for nutrition. They last a long time in the cool air. And again, it's being creative, learning how to take something and say, what can I make with this? And just get creative. Look online, write down recipes. If you like it, write it down. Get yourself some empty recipe cards and save it. All right, food. Future food shortages are a global challenge, much like World War II. And remember, England's an island. In this series, I learned that over 60% of their food and supplies were imported. And at one point, they stopped growing so much of it because for them at the time before that happened, it was cheaper to import it. But then when war hit, they had to start planting food in a hurry. And think about what would happen to us if we were in the same shoes tomorrow. What would we have to do? Eat the elephant one bite at a time. Support your local farmers markets. Absolutely. Local honey is great for so many things with local honey. Allergies, it'll actually help combat that if you have local honey. It's a great natural antiseptic. It lasts forever. It's great natural sweetener. Like agave, it's low glycemic, so it won't spike your sugar in your system. Good stuff. Local honeys, local beef, local vegetables, fruits. Again, everything that happened last year to this year, it's so good to help out locally. And you build a great reputation with them and relationships. So if anything were to happen, they may be more inclined to work with you versus complete strangers. So build up those relationships. Maybe they'll teach you some tips and tricks as to how to work your garden and make it just a little bit better. And that's what's really important right now. The UK supply convoys were victims of the German submarine wolf packs. That was documented in the 8-part series in the Wartime Kitchen and Garden. Absolutely. They talk about everything. So this is a great book. If you can find it online, I would definitely recommend it. Wartime Kitchen and Garden, the Home Front, 1939 to 1945. Like in here, for example, they showed how women worked the land and gardens, and everyone played a role. You had people from the city going out to the country and were living with families for years, working together, just like that. They had to leave all these big, heavily populated areas to be safe and work together just to survive and make it year after year. And yeah, it's exhausting. It was amazing to watch those series. And they did a great job really hitting home the message of what it was like to be thrusted into this unknown and just do the best you could and then learn along the way. And that's another thing. Learn, adapt, and get ready now so you can keep your wits about you. So if anything were to happen, you are just keeping the stress at bay for as long as you can. Because stress, you're never thinking clearly. You're not going to make good decisions when you're stressed out. So if you can calmly take care of things now before things really get that much more challenging. Again, with fall coming, Australia is locking down every which way. It's bad. I mean, they're using their own military against their own people. The UK, a lot of unknowns up in the air. Here, we just don't know. So before things change dramatically and times get cooler, and then the holidays, that just amplifies the stress. Get things ready now. If you want to Christmas shop now, I've done that. So that's one less thing I have to worry about. Get extra supplies. Think about what you do on a daily basis and stock up on that. Books, cookbooks, supplies. Just kind of take a good look around you and think about what you need. Get a little extra while it's available and still affordable. With inflation, it's ridiculous. And again, with the supply chain issues, I'm waiting for a chip for my computer to make it run faster and cooler. And we're going week 2. We left a deposit because I left the computer there and just said, hey, call us when it comes in. So yeah, it's everything you think of it, it's affected. It's happening. Food, medical supplies, medications, that's another big one that a lot of people, it's further down the list, but it's there. Medications, if you can get extra medications, depending on what your situation is, grab them. Over the counters, absolutely. Vitamins and supplements, that's a big one. Electrolytes, think about drinks, Gatorade, just little simple things that will stretch and last a long time that may help you out in a stressful, tiring situation. So if lockdowns happen or weather hits and you're stuck or there's a power outage or fill in the blank, again, you have that nice head start. Again, just be creative. Think about what you do on a daily basis and work with that. Keep finding those good news sources, those channels, support them, take notes. And most of all, live your life. Have projects, things to look forward to, but on the back burner, have this be that constant, kind of like simmering with projects and the things that are happening. Don't forget about them, but live your life. Be happy, go out and do things. Because the way things are going right now, that's so important. It's such a great morale boost. Aloha, Susan. How are you? Again, if you're on an island, like what we mentioned earlier, from the food facts for the kitchen front and the wartime kitchen and garden, we're talking about the recipes and the history of what people did to survive and make it during World War II. And they were on an island, so they did the best they could with what they had and make it last and work. So be creative. Work with what you got. We have honeybees that are great for pollinating our garden and giving us honey, which will last forever. It's so good for you. And again, work and build up those relationships with your local farmers and farmers markets. Life is too short to have dessert last. Get out and live. That's a great piece of advice right there. We're building a plane. My husband passed his ground school. I'm working on ground school. In fact, I'll be studying after I get off of here. So keep up the skills, keep up the knowledge, keep building those great relationships with people around you. And that's the best way you can get through a lot of difficult situations. So be creative, stay and build those relationships, keep those, and maybe even, dare I say, work together on a lot of these projects. Try some recipes, find what you like, save them, and store up on those things that you want. Says a friend, look for a book called Food at Your Feet. It's about the wealth of edible weeds all around us. Yes, edible weeds, flowers. In fact, in this book right here, The Wartime Kitchen and Garden, they talked about flowers that they would actually flavor some of their meals. Absolutely. That's such a great point, Susan. Yes, that's a great one. Flowers, weeds, nettles, you can boil those and have those part of a meal. Rose hips, absolutely. Yes, flowers and weeds. There's so many, like dandelion roots for tea. Yes, that's such a great one right there. Great point. We're building working sailboats. Oh, that's phenomenal. I love it. Oh, that looks so pretty and relaxing. That's why you're building and work on sailboats. We're trying to build a Christavia. And that's the thing. Keep productive, keep active, keep the gears going up top as well. And no matter what's going on, have a project to work on. If you're working on tomatoes, canning, or if you're working on a sailboat or anything else, keep that going. It gives you something to wake up and look forward to. Absolutely. Reading a good book, working on a project, and keeping these things on the back burner. So if anything were to happen, you're just this much ahead of whatever's going on around you. But fantastic. Sailboats. That's pretty. So if you want to email any tips, tricks, ideas, talkwithtiffany@protonmail.com. Almost all plants are edible. If you can eat any part of a plant, you can usually eat any part of it. Big exception, tomatoes. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's about being creative. Like rhubarb, you don't eat the leaf, but you can eat the stalk, which is great. But like wild mushrooms, there's an orange mushroom called Indian bread. You can eat that, but knowing the difference between what's poisonous and what's not. But yeah, absolutely. Get the books. Look online. If you could talk to someone or find someone who does this for a living, absolutely. Build on the knowledge. And that way, if anything were to happen, people can turn to you and say, hey, what is this? You can say, that's good, that's not. You're safe with this. And that's who can end up working together. So the more you know with wild edibles or baking or cooking or hunting or building boats or whatnot, if you can problem solve, create something or fix something, you're going to be a tremendous asset to those around you. If you want to sail big ships, you must go where the water is deep. Good luck, Susan. Yeah, I think Susan's in the great place with building and knowing wild edibles. Fair winds and following seas, absolutely. All right, I like that. So again, if you have any tips or ideas or things you want to leave down below, absolutely leave it down in the comment section. Look at other videos, help out one another, because it's always something that someone knows or can help out. If you have any tips or tricks or things that you actually tried that you want to share with other people, leave it down below. More than happy to pin it and make sure that people see it and get that information out there. That's how we help out one another, especially during these really crazy times right now. Keep your head above the water and keep positive. So, all right, let's show that. What do you got? Ocean People. www.oceanpeople, I'm assuming.com. .org. Okay, oceanpeople.org. Absolutely. We're going to check that out. That's fantastic. So we do this every Monday, 6 p.m. live Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I push out normally recorded shows Mondays and Fridays. Unless something big happens, I'll put a little snippet out on the channel. Like if it's a big earthquake or something happens that I think is worth getting that information out there. Yeah, I know. It's really weird with the comment sections, we'll posting links. But what I'll do is at the end, I can pin it and make sure you get the information out there for you guys. But be sure to check out and look up, at the very least, depending on where you are with shipping, find some great recipes. That way you can actually utilize what you have around you. Really make things stretch, because the 8-part series that the BBC put out, the Wartime Kitchen and Garden, great information. A lot of good information and historical data in there to make you think and say, hey, if this were to happen, I could do what they did. So pray for us, Candace. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, especially the women and children and everything that's going on over there, the people as a whole. Absolutely. So again, if things can change on a drop of a dime over there, just think about things that would be greatly impacted here. If you lose the power, if you're stuck, quarantines, you name it. Be positive, plan ahead, and you'll have that much less stress in your life, at least hopefully initially. But keep up the projects and keep up the great information. And again, we'll do this again next Monday, live 6 p.m. Eastern. And I do put out videos Mondays and Wednesdays. And I do also put out information on DLive and Odyssey in case anything were to happen here. So find the great channels, support those local channels. They have there's so many people out there who are doing great stuff. And stay on top of it, be creative, and keep those projects rolling and working. And you'll be happier for it, and gives you something else to look forward to in the morning when you get up. So for today, I just want to share these books and just show you that, yes, there's a lot of great information out there when it comes to recipes and being creative with what you got, and wild edibles. Very good information. I like that. So again, that's why we do what we do to get this information out there. I don't have all the answers, but I do look forward to those who do have something I may be lacking in. Find a mission that is bigger than you. Find people to help who are worse off than you. Pray without ceasing. Absolutely. Amen to that one. Absolutely. In fact, we're making 100 sandwiches for the Merton House, which is a place that we used to volunteer at, but because of everything last year, we don't go there in person, but we can make sandwiches ahead of time. So my daughter helps out. And it's good to get the whole family and friends involved. And that's the thing. Whatever you can help out with, if it's knowledge or fixing something, especially in challenging, trying times, that's when people can really rise up and work together and help out one another. And you're absolutely right. Love you, Miss Tiffany. You post excellent content. Keep it up. Thank you. And I'm looking forward to checking out your website. That's phenomenal. I love when people work on different projects, and it's really fun to learn from each other. So. My dad was in the Navy Seaman, second class, World War II. I've been at a few change of command ceremonies. Wow. I've only been to one, and that was just by happenstance. You have a Hana family in Hawaii. Mahalo. I'm trying to remember those. And I remember Huni Huni. I was doing that with my daughter. It was so cute. We only went there once. That was in 17. In fact, that's funny timing. I got Blue Hawaiian helicopter on. That was beautiful. We went to Oahu, and it was beautiful. Great people, great spirit, great attitude. I love it. It was so much fun. I've always wanted to go to the Merry Monarch Festival, but with everything that's happened, maybe sometime in the future, that'd be fun. My father was in World War II Navy as well, corpsman first class. Well, thank you for your father's service. We're in the Big Island. Oh God, yeah, that's where Merry Monarch is. That again, if anything changes in the future, that'd be another great place to go back to and check out. But with that being said, I'll let you guys go, get back to what you're doing. But we'll be back next Monday, 6 p.m. If you have any ideas, email me and we'll discuss it and talk about it. Maybe have a more geared topic to get on and go from there. But thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll check out your website. Thank you so much for tuning in, Susan. Rob, you're awesome. And you guys be safe and well. And we'll talk to y'all later.